I don't know. But I'm going to find out. Which means the mind must be totally free from prejudice, from fear, and all the rest of that messy business. So my concern is not illumination, but whether the content of my consciousness can be cleansed, whatever word you use. That's my concern. Not concern, that's my inquiry. And as long as I am separate from my consciousness, I can experience it, I can analyze it, I can tear it to pieces, act upon it, which means perpetual conflict between me and my consciousness. I wonder why we accept all this. Why do I accept that I'm a Hindu? Why do I accept that I'm a Catholic? You follow?
Yes.
Why do we accept what other people say?
Well, we say it ourselves.
Huh?
We say it ourselves.
Yes. No, not only we say it out, but it's encouraged, sustained, nourished by people outside. Why? Why do we accept? He is a professor, and he's teaching me. I accept that. Because he knows biology much more than I do. I go to his class, and I'm being informed with what he says. But he's not my guru. He's not my behavioral guide. He's giving me information of biology, and I'm interested in it. I want to study it, and I want to go out in the field and do all kinds of stuff. But why do we accept authority, psychological authority, spiritual, quote, spiritual authority? Again we come back security. I don't know what to do, but you know better than I do. You're my guru. I refuse that position.
But don't we arrive at the same set of problems if we start not from authority, but from responsibility? That, say I'm a father, I have this child, we've agreed some time ago.
Instructed that, of course.
You have to look after this baby.
Of course.
Fine. But no, you, in order to feed the baby, you become preoccupied with security. Job, tenure, you know, house, protecting the house against marauders and so on.
Of course.
Don't you get into the same lot of things about the preoccupation with security, starting not from authority, but from responsibility for others, for children, for example?
Of course.
So if you, then what is the answer to that? It's easy to say you should reject responsibility.
Of course, if I have money, if I earn money, job, and so on, I have to look after myself. If I have servants, I have to look after servants, my children, perhaps their children too. I'm responsible for all that.
Yes.
Physically, I'm responsible. To give them food, to give them right amount of money, allow their children go to proper school, like my children. I'm responsible for all that.
But isn't that going to bring you back to the same position of insecurity and so on that you were trying to dissolve by this rejection of authority?
I don't see why I need spiritual or psychological authority. Because if I know how to read myself, I don't need anybody to tell me. But we have never attempted deeply to read the book of myself. I come to you and say, please help me to read. And then the whole thing is lost.
But I think what Rupert is asking is that if we start by assuming responsibility for other people, that entails
what? My earning capacity.
Which must be secure.
Yes, secure as much as possible. Not in countries where there is tremendous unemployment.
So you're saying that that doesn't entail any psychological insecurity?
No, of course not. But when I say he's my servant, I'm going to keep him in that place. You follow?
No. Tell me more.
I treat him as a servant.
Yeah.
Which becomes irresponsible. I don't know, naturally.
But if it's a servant, he can come and go. But if it's a child, he can come and go.
He's part of my family.
Yeah.
I think the question is something like this, that suppose you are responsible for a family and the conditions are difficult, you may not have a job and you may start to worry about it and become insecure psychologically.
Yes.
Right?
I don't worry about it. I have no more money. So, my friend, I have no more money. If you want to share the little food I have, we'll share it.
Right. You're saying that even if you are unemployed and you're responsible for a family, it will not disturb the order of the mind, right?
Of course not.
You will find an intelligent way to solve it.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
But this kind of worry as a result of responsibility is relative.
I don't call it worry. I am responsible.
Yes.
And therefore I look after her as much as I can.
And
if
if you
not,
can't?
I say sorry.
If you can't?
I can't. Why should I worry and bother? I can't. It's a fact.
Mm-hmm. You're saying that it's possible to be completely free of worry, for example, in the face of great difficulties.
Yes. There's no, you see, that's what I'm saying. Where there is attention, there's no need to, there's no worry, because there's no center from which you're attending.
Mm-hmm.
There are still problems, and there may still be responsibilities that one's...
Of course it has problems, so I resolve them.
But if you can't resolve them,
then
if your family is starving...
I can't. Why should I worry about it? I can't be a Queen of England.
No.
No, so why should I worry?
But if you're a poor Indian, unemployed, your family is starving, there's nothing you've tried everything, you've failed, you don't worry. Actually, surprisingly enough, a lot of poor Indians in just that situation don't worry. That's the most amazing thing about India. But then, of course, people coming along looking from outside say, well, this is fatalism.
Yes, that's right.
And it's often regarded as the disease of India, the very fact that so many people manage not to worry in those circumstances, to the degree that we would
I'd like to
expect.
ask a question. You've listened to all this.
Mm-hmm.
Messy consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Does one realize it? And empty the content.
Mm-hmm.
Fear, you know the whole business.
Yeah.
Does it interest you?
Yes.
Totally?
Yes.
That means what?
It means you just listen.
No, it means a conversation, dialogue between us,
Mm-hmm.
penetrating deeper and deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you must be free to examine. Free from your prejudice, from your previous experience. Of course, otherwise you can't examine.
Mm-hmm.
You can't investigate. Investigare means explore, you know, push it further and further. Now, are we willing to do that? So that actually the self is not. But when the self is not, it doesn't mean you neglect your wife, your children, your follow? That becomes so silly. It's like becoming a sannyasi and going off into the mountains. Monk going off into a monastery. That it's extraordinary escape. The fact is I have to deal with my wife and children, and if I have a servant. Can I be so totally without the self that I can intelligently deal with these problems?